All right, so here's the uh, electrical stimulation machines that we use, and I'd just like to take you through the various settings that we have. On this particular machine, program 15 or P15 is the only program you can change. All of the other programs are not modifiable. So this is the program that we need to be in for this machine. What I'm now going to do is take you through how you can change the settings. To do this, you hold the set button down until the Hertz or the HZ starts to flash. Now this is the frequency of the stimulation, and push the plus or minus buttons will take the frequency up or down. The higher the frequency, the faster the fatigue of the muscle, and generally a Hertz of 35 or 40 is the setting that we would most commonly use. To move now to the pulse width, you push the set button again, and that's now flashing. And once again, this plus button will take you up to a maximum of 450, or if you push the minus button, will take you down to a minus of 50. And this setting is one of the ones that you will most commonly change if it's finding it hard to get a contraction. If you're finding it difficult to get a contraction, particularly on an edematous or somewhat swollen arm, then I would suggest that you increase the pulse width to 450. And this will give you greater depth of penetration into the tissue and more likely to get a contraction. It also has to do with comfort of the person that you're having the electrodes on, and they may choose to have a higher or lower frequency that they find more comfortable. We now move on to the time setting, and you can see there's a little clock clicking there, and once again you can increase the time or lower the time depending on how long you want to train for. Now we move on to the work setting. That is the amount of time that the machine stays on for in terms of the contraction occurring. And once again, you can increase this or decrease this with the plus or minus buttons. The next setting is the rest time. And this is the amount of time between contractions. And so you can once again increase or decrease the amount of rest the person has between contractions. This is another setting that's helpful to use if people find the contraction a little bit uncomfortable to begin with, is to increase what is called the ramp up time. So by increasing the ramp up time, it increases the amount of time before the intensity of the contraction reaches the setting that you've set it for. So in this case, it will take 4 seconds to go from 0 to the intensity that has been set on the machine. Push the set button again, and this comes to ramp down. And this is a setting that I commonly change for people that are now starting to get muscle activity but are finding it difficult to sustain that activity. The ramp down can last for up to nearly 10 seconds, 9.9 seconds. And so that means that it takes the time for the contraction intensity to fade away. And so the person has more time to try to continue their contraction as the machine fades away. Leave that at 3 seconds. And now we move on to SYN or synchronous. So this machine has 2 channels. And what this means is that both of those channels will work together. So when you turn on, for example, wrist extension and thumb abduction, they will both work at the same time. If you press the plus or minus button, you will then go to alternating. So this means that channel A will work first, and then channel B will work second. So for example, if you're looking at wrist extension and wrist flexion for edema of the hand, for example, then you would use the alternating second setting for wrist extension and then for wrist flexion. Or for example, for elbow flexion and elbow extension. You would use alternating setting. To come back to the setting we used before, synchronous, push the plus or minus button again. And then we go to the last setting we can change, which is DLY or delay. And what this means is that when you're in the synchronous setting, which we are at the moment, channel B will turn on after channel A, and this will last for up to 4 seconds. So if the delay is on, for example, if I turn it to 1 second, channel A will work first, and then channel B will come on 1 second later. It's not particularly helpful for somebody who's trying to learn how to make a shape of, for example, thumb abduction and wrist extension together, to have their wrist turn on first and then their thumb afterwards. So it's not a setting that I generally use. So now we're back to the start again. We have 40 hertz, we have 400, a pulse width of 450, and the time we're setting is, from memory, is 30 minutes, and the work time is 8 seconds, and the rest time from memory is 4 seconds. And then the machine would work with both channels working together. So I hope that is helpful in terms of understanding that. Now, to stop the flashing from going on, you press the escape button above once, and now we're in program 15, and all those settings will remain the same until we push the set button again.